The Sheriff's Foundation was formed last year. There are 7 of us board members who are all volunteers, and we really count on the community to support us, come out to events like this, and I really thank you for taking your time to come tonight. I would like to introduce our board members. Gay, if you could stand up. Ted, he's back at the far table. There's Larry, he's back in the back of the room. Steve, he's in the back. Mike's back there. Did I get everybody? I'd also like to thank the Walla Walla County Civil Service Commissioner. He's here tonight, Jim Davidson, if he could wave his hand. The Walla Walla County Search and Rescue President John Koken is here. Also, to form 5013C takes a lot of paperwork, and we couldn't have done it without our attorneys that have been helping us for free, and that would be Chris Hedin and Brandon Johnson. I want to thank you very much for all of your time and effort that you put in at every one of our meetings. Debbie Zalaznik is our accountant, keeps us all on track for all of our paperwork. And everyone else that's come and helped us, our volunteers, I just really appreciate you and thank you for coming tonight. I'd like to introduce Sheriff John Turner.
Thank you, Liz, and thank you everyone for being here. As Liz pointed out, to us this is really important, and you're going to hear a little bit from some other gentlemen tonight, but we can't thank you enough for the support and the time and the effort and the money to make a program such as this occur. The Sheriff's Foundation was founded based on models across this country. If any of you know the story, probably the best example locally is the Kennewick Police Foundation, and they've been so supportive to that organization that we wanted to mimic it and ride their thunder, and so we formed our own, and it's just been nothing but a blessing. It has been a tremendous amount of work to get up and running and do all the paperwork and the state nonprofit, the 501c3 and the bylaws, etc. to get to this point. But we are finally in full throttle, and tonight is kind of a kickoff of that, if you will. So it's really exciting. Here, I'll show you how old I am. Here comes the glasses. No laughing, Jewel. As you know, the main focus and primary efforts of the Sheriff's Foundation initially is to raise money for a K-9. In a little bit you're going to meet some K-9 handlers and some dogs themselves and learn a little bit more about it. But the Sheriff's Office has had a history of K-9s, and for the past few years we haven't had any. And I think that they're so important. You know, we have redrafted on the office, for those of you that are familiar with it. And I want to thank the deputies that are here that took their time to be here. We've got Gunnar Fulmer from the police department that's here, a couple deputies in the back, Brian Bush, Dale Priest, Jim Romine is up here, Captain Barry Blackman is here, Ted Sams is a reserve deputy with us. And those are the men that you're really here supporting. I mean, I appreciate being the figurehead, and I appreciate being able to address you and visit with you. But those are the guys that are out in the field, boots on the ground, doing it every day and every night. And that's who we're really, truly here to support. I'm going to share a couple of instances recently that we've had in our community to hopefully show you what a great tool having a K-9 would have been. As you all know, right after Christmas there was a murder that was committed in Milton Freewater just south of the border, and we were heavily involved in the manhunt for that suspect. For 48 hours that man remained at large in our community. We had about a 2-day containment and a hand search, but the only tools that we had were human beings with flashlights. And we literally searched for almost 2 solid days down there, brought in the Oregon State Police and assets from all over this state and all over their state. After 2 days, the decision was made by the Oregon State Police to tear the containment down, and we all went our separate ways. 2 days after that occurred, one of our deputies, Sergeant Bob Daniel, spotted him in town here at 9th and Chestnut, and proceeded to take that guy down and take him into custody. And what we learned from talking to him, Mr. Cragen, is that he had been in that containment. He'd run up in the hills, dug himself a little dugout, pulled some bushes over him, and he watched our entire operation armed with the handgun that he just used to kill somebody. He had a few snack bars, some water, and all he knew that as long as dogs didn't show up, all he had to do was wait us out. And he did. And then he ran around free for 48 hours, and we caught him in the city of Walla Walla. That is scary. Had we had a K-9 there, the probability of catching him would have been a lot greater, if not for certain. We also chased a guy by the name of Vernon Ray Johnson down into, we had a pursuit on Friday night. Matter of fact, Sergeant Jim Romine was the guy that picked him up. And after chasing him all over Hillendale, he ended up crashing in an orchard just north of Milton Freewater. And we set up a containment, but we only had a couple of deputies on at the time, and those men did the best that they could with their flashlights to try to find Vernon Ray. We were successful in catching a couple of the other people in the car, but the two main players that had been on a tri-state crime spree, if you will, here in Washington and Oregon and wanted also in Idaho, escaped that night. And somehow they made it up to College Place, stole another car, and 2 days later the Walla Walla Police Department caught up to them and led them on a high-speed chase where they were involved in a traffic collision and injured one of our citizens, one of our community members at Howard and Bryant. And had we had a dog the night that Sergeant Romine chased him, I think that the chances of catching him right then and there and not letting him injure one of our community members is a lot better. I personally, most of you know my background, I've been on hundreds of K-9 searches as a search team member, and I cannot tell you how valuable they are in catching bad guys. And currently, there's not one single law enforcement agency in this county that has the type of dog that you're going to learn about. The city of Walla Walla, Gunnar Fulmer's back there, he's the dog handler, but his dog is narcotic specific. It searches out drugs. It doesn't search out bad guys or articles or anything that you're going to learn about. And I really believe in my heart that this is a tool that we need to serve you better. You know, the vision of our sheriff's office now is to be one of the finest law enforcement agencies in this state, one that consistently delivers the highest quality public service to you, keeping you safe. But we really need the tools and the equipment and the training and the number of people to do that, and K-9s are just one of the pieces of equipment that we need. They're a tool to do our jobs better. You'll learn about how much safer we can do it, how much quicker we can do it, what a higher capture rate there is when we have pursuits like the other night. They're just a fantastic tool. So enough from me. Let's get on to the program. It's my pleasure to introduce both a fellow law enforcement officer and a personal friend, Sergeant David Blosser of the Kennewick Police Department.
All right, you didn't come to listen to me talk, so I'm purposely going to be just really, really brief, but I wanted to make a couple of quick points. First of all, to the foundation members and those involved with that, thank you. We have that in the city of Kennewick, and our foundation pays for our K-9 program. They buy our dogs. My job, I'm a sergeant assigned to patrol, and I'll introduce, and I talk with a lot of pride about our dogs, and you'll hear me say my dogs, but I'll introduce my handlers to you here in just a minute. The kind of our model at Kennewick is committed to your safety, and to our chief that is extremely important, and he preaches that to us in-house. And this is what I would tell you as a patrol supervisor. I'm responsible not just for the safety of the public out there, but to the guys that are assigned to me on my squad. And the thing with your sheriff's deputies here, I guarantee you they will go where they need to go. I kind of read the brochure that said, when people get scared or afraid, they call the police, and when the police get scared, really? They call it Kennewick. But the point I'll make to you is this, your deputies, they'll go where they need to go, but that's not always the safest way to do things. And what's nice is when I'm on the street and I need to search a building for a bad guy, or I got a bad guy on foot that's violent and dangerous and will just as soon hurt me or hurt my guys, I bring out a dog. Because what the sheriff said about the flashlight, he's exactly right. That dog will tell me where my bad guy is long before I get there. It puts me in a position, it puts my guys in a position of advantage to safely do our job. I mean, it's a huge, huge safety thing. It's something that we believe in so strongly that our chief sent down 2 K-9s, 2 K-9 officers, and a patrol sergeant just to present to you guys, because we believe in the K-9 stuff that strong. So again, now I'll be done talking because you didn't come to listen to me. So with me tonight is Officer Kenny Malone. He's been with Kennewick PD, and they may correct me if I'm a little wrong. I don't really track their numbers, but just over 8 years. Yeah, all right. He's a canine handler with us. He's been working with dogs for a lot longer than he's had his dog. His dog is Inu, and it's a 4-year-old or about a 4.5-year-old German Shepherd. And he's been in service with that dog for the last 2.5 years. The other handler you see here is Officer Brad Kahn. He's been with the Kennewick Police Department for just over 18 years, so a couple of days. His dog that he brought with him is Axel, and that is a 2-year-old German Shepherd. And I met this dog a couple hours ago. It's a brand new dog, and he's had a whopping 1 day of training so far. So the dog's not actually in service. The dog will be in service with us shortly. But Brad here has been a canine handler with us for over 14 years. He's trained dogs not just with our department, but with a variety of other departments. He's a state certified canine trainer. Wealth of experience. He's also assigned to our SWAT team where we utilize canines on the team. So with that, I'm going to pass the mic to the people that brought the dog. So, Brad?
Well, thank you. I appreciate the opportunity to come down here and talk about dogs, because I can talk about them all day. That's why I need a PowerPoint to keep me on track. Not the death by PowerPoint here, but if I don't have this, then I'll just keep telling war stories all day long, and I enjoy it. And if you guys have any questions during this, feel free to ask. Even after, grab me, we'll talk about it all night. We're here for you guys. So, and we'll make up stories if they're not interesting enough. That's what police officers do. That's a picture of my first dog, Deke. He was with us for about 8 years on the road. Then I had Vigo as my second dog. We had him for about 6 years on the road. He just recently acquired a nerve disorder. And so unfortunately, he's not with us anymore. And then Axel is in the car right now. We'll be pulling out Inu later for you guys to see. We'll do a little bit of bite work for you. And just to show you how we'll put the sleeve back down, and you guys can come up and pet him and how nice they are and how on and off these dogs are. Children are more than welcome to go up and see him. He has a family at home, as all of us do, and he has 3 children. The dogs are great with him. So that's part of what I want to show you, is just because these dogs are going out there and doing this dangerous job, that doesn't mean that they're mean. They're just not. They're dogs, all right? And that has to do with our selection process, which we could talk about. Real quick, we're not going to get into this and bore you. I've modified it a little. There's going to be a little Kennewick Police Department things in here, but it's important. A little history on the police canines. First documented school for police dogs was back in 1899 in Belgium. Of course, we've had dogs used in different ways long before that, but this is the first actual documented school for police dogs. And we brought them over here in the United States in 1907, of course, in New York. They get everything first, right? We're talking about how we're going to start back up a K-9 program here in Walla Walla County. We started with 4 dogs in 1986 in Kennewick. They were completely purchased with community donations. A retired sergeant of ours had started the donation drive, and then they sent them out the water bills at the time. And business donations were led by a local attorney now, Forrest Coke-Roth, if anybody know Coke. A couple of common police dog breeds that we use. The German Shepherd, that was my boy Vigo. And Belgian Malinois. That was a retired Benton County dog. We use German Shepherds in Kennewick and pretty much exclusively right now in the Tri-Cities. There's a number of reasons we choose that. That does not because we don't believe in the Belgian Malinois, and they're using Dutch Shepherds now too, a super dog for police work. But for the Shepherd, it gives us what we're looking for in our community, because the Malinois can be real excitable. Still very friendly dogs, but they're very excitable dogs. I got to live with this dog. So when I test dogs for the entire Tri-Cities if we're going to bring one back. I would test one for you folks here. But when I test a dog in mine, I also keep in mind that dog has to live somewhere, and I don't want it back. So if it's not nice, so we look at that. But they have a great scenting ability. These dogs have been proven forever. Very reliable demeanor. They're easy to train. They have good aggression. It's not the first thing we look for, though. They're obedient, and they're agile. Very social. We're looking for social, and I'm looking for that scenting ability. That's what's important to us. When selecting a dog, we're looking for good working bloodlines. A lot of that brings us to dogs that are from overseas. And the reason why is they've been breeding them for so long over there for this purpose that we can be guaranteed that it's in that bloodline. Versus someone starting their own puppy program. May have a great dog, but it may not be the type of dog we're looking for. It takes that selection away from us so that we're a little more certain that when I go to a vendor, I'm looking at a dog that already has the bloodlines that are there. I'm looking for a confident dog, and again, the scenting ability of that dog. Very few dogs will pass a selection process overseas to be sent over here and purchased. And out of those dogs that are sent to a vendor, very few are going to pass that selection process by someone like me. And out of those dogs that we select, if I do my job right, we'll be able to hold on to him, but he may not pass my training course. So the dogs you're going to see out there, they're going to be the top of the line. You're going to get the best dog for this job. How much do they cost? Well, the fact of the matter is this. $8,000 to $15,000 just for the dog. You're paying for a police dog. You're paying for a thoroughbred. You're paying for something that's bred to do this work. They've cost that since I've been involved in police work. And I've got to be honest with you, the prices don't go up that much, which is, to me, in today's, it's a value. I just paid $8,500 for Axel. I think for Kenny's dog a couple of years ago, I paid $7,500. That was fairly low. That has to do with the dollar versus the euro. And look, I handle dogs for a living. I don't understand that. I just know when I'm paying too much, it's too much. And it has to do with the training that you get with the dog. They have a foundation training. They're trained to take a sleeve or a tug. They're trained to use their nose a bit. Some may be trained more. Some may have titles as a sporting dog. Those will cost more. We look for basic foundation work dogs when we start ours, and then I finish them how we want. $2,000 to $3,000 for basic equipment. You can skimp. You can get under there and you'll be fine to start your program. In tracking harnesses, leads, things of that nature. But a realistic idea is that. I mean, we've started dogs for less, but it just depends on what you're looking to set up. $3,000 to $5,000 for a basic training class. We do run one. I run them in the Tri-Cities, but we tend to only run them if I'm running a dog through like we're running Axel right now. I don't charge for that. Anybody's welcome to attend that. The more dogs, the better. There's downtime, so it doesn't bother me. Spokane runs one, and it's about $3,000 to $3,500. They run a spectacular class down there. It's a 10-week class. And then, of course, food and lodging. Again, 10 weeks, 400 hours required by the state of Washington. Have to have it for the patrol aspect. It's roughly half that for just the narcotics dog. But that's where your investment is. And once you have that and signed off, we certify the dog and then you're good to go. We run our dogs through a 3 to 4 month training program. And that's just what we do. What we do is we'll run the bare minimum, and then we certify our dogs, and then we give them some finish work so they're ready for what they're going to see on the street. And it just seems to work for us. Maintenance training. You need 2 full days of structured training a month. No one's going to shy away if you can only make it 1. No one's going to shy away. This month you can't make it. But the Department of Justice would like to see us do 2 full structured training days a month. And we make that very easy because I run it 2 times a month in the Tri-Cities, and we welcome anybody to come down there. We do not charge for that. And as we add dogs throughout the valley, Sunnyside added a dog recently, right? Yeah. And we put them on our rotation. So what that means is then 1 month it's Pasco that's supposed to set up the training facilities. I'll run the training. Then it's Benton County. Then it's Kennewick. And then we throw Sunnyside in. So we're not always sticking Sunnyside with having to drive down. We'll drive down there and see some new things for the dogs. You'll train every night on patrol, and you train almost every day at home. There's always some sort of training you're doing, whether it's how you feed the dog or his behavior. It takes constant work. And how do they work? That's one of our retired dogs from years past. doing a little narcotic search there. Well, dogs don't think or reason like a human. I don't think that's news to anybody here. They react out of instinct within 1/40th of a second, or they're going to react out of training. This is why we train. We don't want that dog, we want to put that into them onto that repetition. This is what we're going to do, this is what you need to do in these circumstances, versus letting him react out of that instinct, and they don't reason well. They learn by formed association repetition, which is why we train. Basic drives of the dog. Play drive. Where's my narcotics guy in here? There you are. Play drive. That's what it's all about, right there. For a toy, a ball. What's his toy?
Towel.
A towel. You never know. They pick it. The dogs pick it. I'm telling you, it's not him. He didn't pick a towel. But that dog picked a towel, and that's what they do. I've seen everything. So you can see like these two were police dogs. Okay, neither one was real dog friendly, but in play drive, you know, they want that ball a lot more than each other. So, but that's the drive we're going to use. Now, of course, dogs have a lot of drives. These are I'm going to go over the 3 main drives we're looking for. Defense drive. Believe it or not, this is the last drive we really even care about. This is what everybody thinks of, though, right, when we see a police dog. When I'm testing dogs, I'm looking for this prey drive. I want that to be around 90% of what that dog does. I want him to track to go find and use that prey drive. Okay, because that's 90% of what we do. We use dogs as locator tools. That's what we do. And that's what they're good at. So, but those are the 3 main drives we look at. How's a dog function? Through his senses: smell, eyesight, hearing. They pick up movement very well. You know, they don't have as great an eyesight as you'd actually think, but they pick up movement extremely well. That's usually what they're going to see. And their hearing is very acute, and it's directional. So one ear can pick something up that way, one can pick up over here, and they can distinguish where that's coming from. I can't hear anything after working with dogs for 14 years, so that's pretty cool. Their sense of smell can be up to 1 million times greater than ours. And that's just, it's inconceivable with how they can, that's their world. 1/3 of their brain is completely, it goes to scenting. 1/3 of their brain. And so that shows you that how much they're made to use that nose. And just like we talked about, we're going to use their greater sense of smell to locate suspects. That's the main thing that we use our dogs for. They use the olfactory cells, and it's the same thing as finding narcotics. These are the same tools that dog has within its ability and in its makeup to find these suspects or narcotics. They can discriminate scent. If you go home and you walk in and you can smell that, oh, we're having stew for dinner. Well, a dog can walk in and go, oh, we're having carrots, potatoes, meat. You know, they can smell all those and they can distinguish them at the same time. And scent doesn't get weaker as if we're in a room and then pretty soon you don't smell it as much. It starts to go away. Well, it doesn't do that to a dog. It'll stay right there. Stays very strong to them. We use some ground disturbance. That's how we'll track, is how when we're tracking a suspect, you know, if they're walking on grass, they're starting a decay process right away on that vegetation. The dog can smell that process starting just by going off that. It'll transfer over onto concrete, so now you have a transfer of that scent, and some of the skin rafts and things that come off people will hang in the air. And the higher that scent is, and the closer you get to a suspect, that air scent is there, and there's a cone that they'll work through a process of elimination, and that dog's going to zero in, and you'll watch them. The closer you get to a suspect, the more you know your dog, and the better he gets at using his nose. You'll be able to tell that you're within feet of a suspect. A handler, a good handler, will be able to tell you that before you actually run upon him. The enhanced sense, briefly touch on skin wrap, scent through your pores. Everybody gives it off. That's what those dogs smell. If you rob a 7-Eleven, you're going to be giving out a lot more of that, I don't care who you are, than if you're just walking down the street. And I can go out and lay a track for Inu tonight, and he'll track me. But if someone took off running out of here that was just involved in a shooting, you're going to watch this dog come out of his skin trying to track. because they realize that it's different, and they know it's different. And so that's how we know when we're on good track. K-9 team roles. Some of this is going to be directed to us, okay? Every community is different. But we have to, you know, our role here, of course, anywhere, is to protect our community. When we make that working condition safer for the police officers on the road, we respond to K-9 calls. That's a no-brainer, right? Respond to priority calls. We will provide mutual aid to other agencies, and we do assist patrol with some calls. This is a Kennewick thing, that's boring. We work graveyards. That's when we need our dogs. So we're busy. So we need them at night. That's when our bad guys are running around. So I've been working graveyard forever, and I like it. So I do. I'm not just saying that because my sergeant's in the room. We put bad guys in jail. This is what we do. This is what you pay us to do. So that's what we're going to go do, and we're going to keep you safe. And we do that by using this dog and using his greater scenting ability in order to find that bad guy. Do they bite? Yeah, they bite. But sometimes we have to have that tool, okay? Because I'm not going to, if a guy's not going to come out of a bush that committed a robbery, I'm not going to send Kenny in, okay? We're going to send the dog in because that's what they're for, right? And it's the dogs love their job, I'm telling you, and they have the best life you can imagine at home. They're baby. I have a wife. When can we use the dog? We still have to justify that use of force, and we do it off Graham versus Connor. We look at the severity of the crime, whether the suspect's an immediate threat, and whether they're attempting to flee. Tracking, just like we talked about. This is probably our bread and butter right here. Because when someone flees a scene, we're going to track. Okay, and they're going to use it. What I have is just a couple quick little clips to show you a little idea of what the dogs look like when they're doing it. I know it's not the same, but it's hard for me to go lay a track and have all you follow me and run, because it'll go forever and it won't work. The video is a little choppy, I'm not sure why, but you'll get the idea of how they work though. And you'll see that what he's doing is he picks up that ground scent and away they go. And you can hear it's windy, so his head's going to come up. These are things I look at as a trainer and a handler. You got to give him a little time to pick that scent up when that wind's blowing, because it's not going to be right there. And this is a training track, obviously. So if this was a real bad guy, this dog would be coming out of his skin. They're screaming, they're yelling, they're just going nuts. And like I said, with the handler, and you know your dog, you can tell if this dog is at the end. And you can tell if something's going on. Yeah, sorry for the video, although I thought we were kind of cool in slow motion there. Building searches. And of course, we're going to use, and building searches aren't that ground disturbance anymore. It's going to be that air scent, that cone that the dogs have to find. And what you're seeing, and right there, Vigo's actually bark alerting on the door. That we teach them if they're behind the door, they'll let us know by barking. So we know which door to go in, and well, which door he's going in. the dog doesn't know where we put a person. I don't know where we put a person. Kenny put him in, but look how fast that dog goes through a very large building.
Okay, coming in. Suspect, stand still. Eagle, move, here. Move. Come on out. Come on out. Throw your hand. Throw your hands. Get down. Get down.
And area searches are the same as a building search, but outside. We do use them for felony stops, vehicle extractions, if we need them to pull someone out of a car, or we do a felony stop, we don't know if someone's still in the car. We do get them where people are laying there waiting with a gun. So other than sending the officers up, we can send a dog in to do that.
Suspect in the truck. Come up now. Gonna send in the dog. We'll keep it into the truck. Suspect in the truck. Come up now.
And of course, handler protection. But, you know, that's handy when you're the only one working for how many miles?
1,300.
Okay. You know, it doesn't, does that hurt? No, that doesn't hurt. We're lucky because, you know, we're going to have cover there soon. But, you know, there does come a time, even for us, and direct apprehensions and a deterrent. Let me tell you something about the deterrent factor. It's not just that you have the dog when you show up at a fight call and he's barking in the back of that car that people realize you have another tool there. They do not like the dog. No one likes to get tased. They would rather get tased than get bit by a dog. I'm telling you, they tell me that all the time. I would rather get bit by the dog, but tasing's not fun. But the deterrent's a big factor. It's also a big factor that once you start having a K-9 program and they know you have dogs out there, when they know you have dogs, we stop. When we're running 2 dogs versus 1 dog, you start seeing our call load for the dogs go down because they realize that we're staffed with our dogs again. And we see it all the time. You know, what that guy say, if you had a dog, he knew that it would be different. They know. They know we're coming for them. And I'm telling you right now in Kennewick, they know if they run and hide, they know we're coming. What they're doing to us down there is they don't want to stop running. So it's important how we work with our squads to try to contain, because they know if they go to ground, we're going to find them. Narcotic searches. We have a narcotics handler right in here. Kenny and I do not have a cross-trained dog at this point. But we have cross-trained dogs within the Tri-City area. That's how we work as a community, though. We wouldn't be able to have a single-purpose dog if we didn't have cross-trained dogs. It's that important. So we have resources to get our other dogs in to do our narcotic searches for us. You can easily have a cross-trained dog because Benton County has one, Pasco has one, and probably 2 here shortly. So it's important. It's the reason we don't is because my dog's assigned to the SWAT team. So we expect him to be concentrating on that. And we have enough work in Kennewick that where we're tracking so much, they just want us to concentrate on getting these bad guys. We work together to use the other cross-trained dogs. A very important aspect of our program is working together down in the Tri-City region. We couldn't do it without the other dogs, or we would do it differently. And like I said, that's how we work down there in the Tri-Cities with the dogs, but the squads are very important. They're very much part of the K-9 team. The K-9 team isn't Kenny and Inu. It's Kenny and Inu and the squad that's working out there, because there's a lot to containment, cover, and support. It does provide that pack. The dog understands it's a pack. And that's how they work. We all know that. And they work and they love it. And so without that squad, we're not going to succeed. But without our community, we're not going to succeed, because our dogs are purchased, as Sergeant Blosser mentioned, by donated money. We've had maybe since 1986 1 or 2 dogs that they took out of city budget. Other than that, our dogs have been exclusively, all the dogs I've handled in my time in K-9 have all been purchased with donated money. Kenny's was purchased with donated money. We wouldn't be able to do it without it. Just, it wouldn't happen, period. We would not have a program. And these dogs, I mean, we're using, my last dog on the SWAT team, I mean, he was finding guys and pulling them out of rooms for us on a SWAT call. Kenny's dogs found a number of people. Between all my dogs, I've found well over 350, yeah, at least over 350 people with just the dog. So these are 350 people that wouldn't have been caught, at least that day. Okay, that's a lot of people that you're putting in prison or jail. So, and it's important, and the people you're finding are not nice people. We're not tracking people because they stole a candy bar. Remember, Granby Connor. We're tracking people that have hit my dog with a sword, that have shot at him. They've tried to stab him a number of times. So these are the type of people we're looking for. And you know, it's important to know that. So that's my first dog. In fact, what was interesting about this picture, I brag about my dogs, is that I was retired, but he was still certified, and I was training Vigo. He wasn't certified yet, and we had a bank robbery. So I ran home and grabbed Deke because he was still certified. So this old dog comes out here, and we tracked this bank robber and actually found him in that shed back there. And so, kind of cool. Do you have any questions for me? Anything? Like I said, I'll make it up if I don't know it. You'll never even know it.
How long did the dogs go?
I'm sorry?
How long are they in service?
Yeah.
You get them at 2?
Here, well, what I hope for, I'm hoping for 6 to 8 years on the road. Okay, but as we all know, there's no guarantee in life. So, you know, we do our best to look at hip x-rays and things of that nature. The dog that I just showed you, Deke, had the worst hips in an x-ray you've ever seen for a working dog. And he went forever. My last dog that I just put down about 3 weeks ago had A1 hips up until the day we had to put him down. And it's because he just got this nerve disease. I mean, there's no guarantee in life. So we hope for the best. But, you know, 6 to 8 is what we're aiming for. You're not going to get much more than 8. You know, I've seen people do it, but, you know, for a patrol dog, yeah, that's about what you're looking for. Right? Is that not what you're thinking? So, yeah. Yeah, so yeah, about in there.
These dogs also do search and rescue, or is that?
We don't use these dogs for search and rescue, only because we have bite and hold dogs. If we're justifying our track and search by that Granby Connor on the crime committed. So if the dog finds that person, because remember, they're scent discriminating, they know how to do that. We train them, they're following that scent from start to finish. Remember the training video I showed you on the track? That's a camera guy. And he's ignoring the camera guy the whole way because he is tracking that one scent. So no, we don't use it unless it was such a crucial incident that it wouldn't matter. But as a general rule, no, and it's against our policy to do so. But they can find articles. They're trained on the tracks to find articles too, and they all do it differently. My dog is being trained to lay down every time they find a scent from that suspect, and so we can do the same. With an area search because you're looking for a gun that was discarded, and we do that from time to time too. Oh, you've got to have more than that for me. Yeah. We track on lead, and I train to track on lead. There have been departments that can do off-lead tracking. It's difficult. I don't know how to teach it. I don't get how it works. But the ones that have, we've seen agencies lose their dogs by getting hit by cars a lot. So there's really no reason. Yeah, it's nice to have the dog ahead, but yes, they scent discriminate, but they're still dogs. You know, I have a 15-foot tracking lead. I'd rather have 15 feet to be able to control the dog still, because it's still you're the human part of this. You know, it's just that human handler is just as important as that dog. Because you're the one that has to think and reason and figure, okay, we're running into too many people. Yeah, the dog sense discriminates, but this isn't worth it. You know, someone may get hurt, or it's just not going to be a reliable track after that.
Brad, if their nose is 1,000,000 times better than ours, how come they treat each other the way they do?
Well, Sheriff, maybe we're missing out on something.
Just saying.
I don't know. Oh, boy. With that, what I'd like to do is again, we talked about, and you know, I know I'm forgetting something here. And I can talk about this all night, and I'm willing to. But what I'd like to do is bring Kenny's dog in the back. I'll even put the sleeve on. It doesn't matter if once they're on, they don't care if you're wearing a jumpsuit or not. They don't care. But what I'd like to show you is I'd show you a little bit of the bite work, the control Kenny can have on his dog. He's a pretty dog. He's a real big dog. But then how we'll end that, well, it won't take us but 30 seconds. And I invite you to come up and pet the dog. Get the kids up there, and you're going to see this. This just isn't what you think they are sometimes. And they're sweet dogs. They're the type of dogs that we're finding that we're going to train, and when we come back and they're done with training, they're going to find the worst criminals that are going to come running through our community that need to get caught, and they can go right back into your schools and love up the kids. So you don't have to worry about it. I'm going to show you that. So, and
folks, what I think we'll do is the demonstration area is going to be this open area right back here. So you're welcome to stand up and turn around where you are, or you can filter in and make kind of a half circle right here. But we need to keep this area in the middle open.
oh, that guy's in. House! See that Still. House. You're welcome. You're welcome to come up here. You know, don't mug him, but Bedino's a nice dog. They're in German.
No, the language is German?
Yes.
Now, when
Because that's where they're from, not because there's some trick to it. You know.
How do you protect the dog when you're out there?
I'm sorry?
How do you protect the dog when you're out in the field? I mean, what type of different precautions do you take? Or just going out with them?
You can come out. We'll go, but the dog doesn't have any special equipment. But when, you know, we always have coverage. K-9 handlers, you know, apply their dog. And the dogs are never going to be more. So,
It's all like all I roll with dogs.
We just kicked it. Oh my goodness.
Folks, if I could have your attention, I'm going to ask everybody to come back to their seats so we can stay on track and be respectful of everyone's time. Because there's a little bit more to the presentation, and then we can open it up for questions, and the handlers and the dogs and everybody's going to stick around, and we can do the one-on-one and the dog here in just a moment.
yeah, picture him.
I knew this was going to be the toughest part, but they wanted me to be the buzz here and bring everybody back to their seats.
We'll still be here. We'll still be here.
Yes, that's true. Hey, I got a question. I'm just going to answer real quick. The question was, how do we protect the dog? And so the answer to that is, we're not going to send the dog on a suicide mission. Meaning, I know that the bad guy's in room A and he's got a gun. It's not a job for my dog. Okay? A couple night shifts ago, we have a burglary in progress. Neighbor sees the burglar inside the house, sees the flashlights. We're on scene 3 minutes later. We don't hear or see anything. I don't know if the guys are in there or not. Contact the homeowner. Homeowner's not home. Nobody should be home. Homeowner has 8 loaded guns inside the house. I get a K-9 on scene because I don't know that there's a bad guy in there. It's the unknown. I'm not sending my guys in there to confront the unknown. I used a dog. We entered the front door. The dog indicated that, down the hallway, the dog indicates he's got scent. There's somebody in the house. I make a quick call to my commander. Says I got 6 patrol guys holding the living room. We can go no farther. I got an armed guy in the house. That's a SWAT call out. So does that make sense? Had it not been for the dog, the guys have to search and find God knows what. Who had that question? Did I answer it? Yeah?
She's a dog lover too. It's my pleasure now to introduce the Walla Walla County Sheriff's Office first K-9 handler, and he's going to give you a little historical perspective of where we've come. And also coming up at this time is going to be the president of the foundation, Liz Tate, and she's going to share with you where we'd like to go. So Sergeant Jim Romine.
Oddly enough, April, 29 years ago, we were doing exactly the same thing for our first set of dogs at Y. We gave our first program, and we used Benton County for that presentation. That started the ball rolling. And we started in April of 1983, and it was a while back. I got my first dog in November of that year. That's all the time it took to raise. Then what we needed was $15,000 to send me to the school and to buy the dog. The dog's price was then $10,000, and that was for a cross-trained dog from a vendor. And then $5,000 to go down to school and equip the car and buy the equipment for the dog. In February the following year, we sent Mark Franklin down for the second dog, and we got Till. And we kept raising money, and in '91, Mark Franklin left the department, and Bob Daniels, take that back, Bill Wright was sent to get a dog, and he got Egon. Egon worked on a department with 3 different handlers. He worked with Scott for sure after that, and he also worked with me when Scott left and took a little hiatus where he wanted to repair bicycles rather than be a cop and work dogs, and that lasted for about 18 months, and then he came back. And he finished out work in Egon because I changed jobs in '98. In the time right after we got Egon, Bremo retired in '91, and Moots came on board, which was Bob Daniels' dog. And then the last dog we had was Zorro that Sergeant Cooper had, and it's been 2.5 years, well, excuse me, 3 years since Zorro's been working. And so we've been 3 years without any dog. All of our dogs were cross-trained. My dog happened to have the state record until '90, I believe it was, when a Seattle dog took it. I didn't know we had the state record until he was saying, he told me that the state record one when I was at training. I was a master trainer in narcotics and an associate trainer in patrol work with the State Training Commission, and I did my last accreditation in narcotics in '98, and since then I haven't had the fun of working with dogs. There's nothing better. Our dogs were cross-trained. We had track fines, we had drug fines, we had evidence fines, and without those would have been unsolved cases or uncompleted cases, where we'd still be looking for them. Out of all of our dog contacts that we've had, I don't know of any that required suturing. Several went to the hospital, mostly to get the tetanus shot to go with the small puncture wounds. If they're trained right, you don't have gaping wounds and things like you hear about. They're actual pretty minimal force. Of all the dog bites that my dog Bremo had, none required medical attention at the hospital. Only when I got Egon and he had a broken tooth, and the broken tooth would cause great havoc because it was real sharp, did we have to require medical attention. And the guy refused it that had it in, at the jail. He was complaining that he thought he was tougher than the dog. Of course, he was really drunk. He said, it's a better dog than I thought it was. I was pretty pleased. We raised the money to maintain all the dogs except Zorro. Zorro was a department purchased dog and managed that way. All the rest were purchased through donations. And
when the dogs are so successful, why is there not more help from the state or counties, or why do you have to depend on people's donations?
I've had that question since 1983, and I can't seem to get a satisfying answer from the elected officials, because a dog works for basically $30 a month, the price of a good bag of dog food, and a lot of loving, and that's what they work for. And they will lay down their life for that dog food and the handler, the love of that handler that they work with.
But the powers that be won't come across with funds. They don't do such a...
No, they've only done it once for us, one dog. Any other questions?
To answer your question, ma'am, it was requested last year and denied. That's why we're doing this.
I just feel there should be more money coming for that, as well as...
I will not deny that at all. At all.
Question in the back.
Yes.
How would someone like the woman that just asked that question get involved to help advocate for you to get one?
I'll help her with that. She can join the foundation, help us write letters to the editor, encourage our county commissioners, tell them how important you think it is that we have a K-9. But we would love to have you join our foundation, and you can be at one of the tables, ask people to sign up and help. We have lots of things that we're doing that are pretty exciting that are coming up. So we're always looking for some great volunteers.
I will add that your commissioners work for you, and if they're not doing the job that you want them to do, talk to them about it. We shouldn't have to be out stumping for our own equipment. That's not our job. We're not salesmen, but we got pretty good at it. In '83, I got real good at it, and I could. The Kennewick officer and his slide presentation, I was doing it by memory, and when I retired, Bremo, and started doing training, I was still doing the same thing, and I have to clean cobwebs out to remember that, because that was 14 years ago that I did my last one. I'll turn it over to Liz now.
Jim, if I may, I'm just
Yes.
gonna, that really is a great question, and I'll share just a little bit of history with you, and hopefully I'm not boring the death out of you, but I think how we've gotten here and what's happened is important. If historically you go back to the 1950s, and we all have these black and white images in our brain of how dogs used to be used and during civil rights movements, etc. It wasn't until probably the 1970s, late 70s, that the value of a police dog as they're currently used really came into being. And there was a strong push in law enforcement agencies to get these tools. However, those were tough economic times as well. Those were the Carter years, high unemployment, high inflation, etc. And there was no money in budgets, in public money budgets, to buy these tools. And so law enforcement took it upon themselves to go to the public that they serve and say, we want to do a better job for you. We know what right looks like. We know what right looks like. We want to do what's right. We're just not being allowed to do what's right. And now, several decades later, we're in the exact same position where you just saw what right looks like. We want that so badly, but we're not able to provide that service. And we know that we can do a better job for you, safer, better, faster, quicker, everything you've just learned, but we need help in doing it because the money's not going to be coming from the county coffers. We asked last year and we got told no. So that's why we're here, is because we're reaching out to the public, because we believe with everything that we are that this is really, really important. It's important to us as a community, it's important to you as a citizen, and it's really important to the men that I deploy in harm's way every single day and night to keep them safe, just like the recent story that Sergeant Blosser shared with you. So that's what tonight is all about. I'm going to let Liz Tate, who's worked so hard in putting tonight together, and explain what the different tables are in the back. And I really encourage you to share this with your friends, your family, your colleagues. And before you go, please stop at one of the tables. Liz is going to explain what they are. And by all means, the Kennewick guys are still here. We're so appreciative of them coming over, and Chief Ken Hohenberg sharing them with us tonight. So, Liz?
Thank you. Okay, how many of you think we need a dog in this county? To start with one. Thank you. In this case, it's going to take a village to get these dogs. And as you know, it's going to take money to do it. We have reserve deputies, deputies' wives, all of our foundation. A lot of community members are donating money, $5, $10, $100. We'll take $1. So what I would like to tell you some of the opportunities that we have coming up. There is a women's self-defense class that is going to be put on. Brian, the instructor, is here. He can talk to you, tell you a few of the things that he'll be willing to do, train your wife, your daughter, your mother, to be able to have some self-defense moves, I guess they would be called. It's $35. It's on the 24th and the 31st, and I believe it will be at the ASA clubs. He's doing the class for free. The $35 is a donation that he's going to pass directly back to the foundation for the dog. Another one here.
Thank you, Brian.
Yeah. Thank you, Brian. One of the other things we have coming up, we are in a wine community. A lot of the wineries here in town really want to participate. Walla Walla Faces is the first one that stood up and said, hey, come use our facility. All of the board members and a lot of my fundraising committee that I couldn't do this without has offered to make all of you hors d'oeuvres. So we're going to have lots of really good food. Costs $15. You can come down, taste wine, visit with us, find out what you can do to help on one of our fundraising efforts. Don't have to drink any wine. Come down and eat some goodies and visit with us. That one will be April 19th at Walla Faces. And then we have some more things coming up. It's just getting them all scheduled and getting the help and getting them moving along. I'd love to talk to you. I'll be at the back of the room. And once again, thank you for coming out tonight and caring about our county and about our deputies and your neighbor and helping us put this together. Hope you'll stop at one of the tables. We do have some decals that you can put in your window that shows that you're a supporter of the Walla Walla Foundation, Walla Walla Sheriff's Foundation. So come back, talk to us, and thanks again for coming tonight. I really do appreciate your support.
Thank you.